All right, y'all. I'm gonna try to do a quick video on how to use Presonus as your audio interface that you upload to iMovie. I haven't seen anybody use Presonus yet, so I'm gonna do a how-to video on that. With that said, I don't have Presonus open yet, so I can't record with it. So I'm using my Zoom H4N, and since it's a how-to video and I'm trying to like video how to do all this, there'll be points that I can't use the Presonus just because it's a how-to video instead of me just making a video, if that makes sense. So you have to bear with me on that. So like when it gets to a point where I have to close out Presonus to upload it to iMovie, I'll have to record audio on the Zoom. Um, but the reason that I want to use Presonus is normally I won't be doing how-to videos, I think. So like the Zoom, you got to use batteries in it, and they go pretty quick, especially if you use a like a Phantom 48 volt powered condenser microphone, if I'm using those terms right. I use the Aston Spirit condenser microphone, and it just flies through batteries with the Zoom. So we'll go ahead and get started. I've already recorded the song and everything. But we will like create a new song and then exit out of that, and I'll pull up the one I did already just to make this process a little quicker. So we log into Presonus Studio One 4, and I have the artist instead of the professional. You double click on Studio One 4. So from here, you would create a new song. And like I said, we're going to close that once we do it and then get into the one I already did just to make that process a little quicker. So with Presonus, it gives you all of like their different interfaces. And I have Studio 26, and it's a 2 input and 6 output. So we're going to click OK, and it's going to load that up. Something you always want to do with Presonus, and I don't know if it's like this with other interfaces, but you want to go to Preferences. You want to make sure your playback device is Presonus Studio 26 and your recording device is Studio 26, or you won't like get any levels, and you're like, why can't I record anything? And that's the reason. So we'll say okay, and that's under audio setup. And here I would go. I would label my inputs, like input 1 would be whatever you want it to be, and then input 2 would be like my Aston Spirit microphone. And then input 1, most of the last song was a Roland JDXI, and it's like an analog synth keyboard thing. This is a real quick song, nothing spectacular with it. Hell, the guitar is like off rhythm and a few parts too, but we're not worried about that right now. So that's a quick run through of this. We're going to go to the song. We're going to close out of this song. Well, it's going to log completely out, but we'll just log back in. So this is the last song that I did, and I did this last night. So now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to go up to our Aston, and we're going to go ahead and start recording. So I clapped just so you can load all the signals from the different audio places. I've got another Aston track from last night. I need to mute that. So from here, it's not too complicated. There's a couple different ways you can do this. So with my vocal tracks, when I say vocal tracks, I'm talking about audio, like talking like I'm doing right now. We are going to we're going to export those as stems, but we're actually going to export the song together as a mix down, because that's going to be super complicated doing like 8 tracks on iMovie. So if we just have our one audio thing, we can just put it at the end of our movie. And so with the Aston overhead right now, I'm gonna export that as a stem, and we'll do that in a second. And then the other reason I wanted to use Presonus is I think I'll get a little bit better audio than I would from the Zoom H4N. I hope I'm not going too fast through this, but this isn't really a how to like make a song on Presonus video. It's more of a how to export this to iMovie, and then iMovie to YouTube or whatever you want to do with it. And that may get a little tricky, but we're going to have to like switch audio to the Zoom for that. Normally you would just do your whole dialogue, I guess, in Presonus or whatever your interface is. But for right now, we're just going to use Presonus till I push stop, and then we're going to switch back to the Zoom. All right, y'all, from here, we're going to export our stem, but we want to make sure that we're exporting the whole thing. So we want to look at our interface here, or Studio One, and you can like put flags like markers. I think it's called like add marker. It's pretty simple. Yeah, so you can insert a marker, which we've already done our markers. So the first one will be start, and then if you only put 2 markers in, one will be start and one will be end. But if you put 5 markers in, you have start, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then end. So I think for now we're just going to have a start and an end. So we want to go to our end of the song. And the end of our song right now is way back here, I guess. Yeah. So we're going to take our ending, because wherever you put your ending, it's going to export that whole length. So you might have like 3 minutes there of nothing, and you don't want that, because that just adds more megabytes or kilobytes or gigabytes to your export, and storage is gold around here. So we've got our end marker where we need it for the Aston. We're going to export this stem, and we're going to save it on our desktop. So export stem, and the only one it's going to do, it always does this FX, and I don't really know what that is. So we're going to just take that out and just export Aston, because we've got a bunch of other tracks that we're going to do as a mix down later on in a few minutes. So start to end, it should be a couple minutes long. So there we go. It's going to export that, and it should just take a couple seconds. And then it's going to give you the option of how you want to store it. And that's kind of something that can get a little tricky. It's not super tricky, but so you see it here. What I want to do from here is I want to rename it. I mean, I guess I don't really have to rename it. It's already saved as Aston. But I'll just make it even easier. So we got it there. So if you just like say okay from here, you'll never be able to find it. You can, but it's tough. So I want to save it to my desktop, just because you can drag it and you can drop it into iMovie. So we'll log out of that. And so also I should have said, like, I've got all the other tracks within Presonus muted, so it wouldn't export those. So now I'm going to mute my Aston track, and I'm going to push the S button, which means, I guess, solo. I don't know. I think it means solo. I've never thought too much about it. So I'm going to the same thing. I'm going to move my marker around because I don't really want to export the whole song, including the Aston track, because the Aston track is not included in the song. So you want to go to where your song, where all your stuff basically ends. Drop it wherever you want it, and we can mark it up here. That way it doesn't reset us. I know iMovie does that a lot. Like, where the hell's it going? So that's some, like, that track right there that goes a little bit longer is just some oohing and ahhing. Like I said, y'all, I spent too much time on this, honestly. The guitar track is what took me so long. The JDXI is cool because you can just program your own drum beat in it, and you can record it line the left line out mono on the JDXI, and you can take that guitar chord because you're just going a guitar 1/4 inch into your Presonus line in the front. I'm just using a guitar chord and it records it. So then last night I just plugged straight into Presonus and used like their default settings. Normally I would use my pedal board and mic and amp, and if I was actually recording like a real song, like this was just a quick demo, so don't judge me on it. It was kind of funny and fun, and I just had a good time with it. And feel free to make fun when you hear it at the end of the video. We exported a stem for the Aston audio. Now we're going to export a mix down. So this is going to take all 7 or 8 tracks here besides our vocal track. It's going to mix it all down to one file, so then we can drag it and drop it into our iMovie. And it does start to end, and it's like 2 minutes. So we're going to say okay, and it'll probably say something about clipping, and the clipping should be me clapping my hands within the audio, if it even says it at all. Alright, so it's going to save it as mixed down MP3. So we're going to save it as Presonus to iMovie. And so we're going to drag and drop that onto our desktop, just like we did the last one. So from here, y'all, we're going to, we can save our changes. We're logging out of Presonus. And here's my Aston stem right there. Presonus right here. We're going to have to go to iMovie. What we want, and then we'll go to iMovie. And we will start a new project whenever that opens up. And I constantly have to juggle gigabytes of memory with this computer just because I've had it for 5 years. So as I put a project on, I've got to take a project off or it won't let me do it. So we're going to go to projects. So I've already started this, so it's going to be Presonus Studio 26 interface to iMovie. We're going to open this bad boy up. We're going to minimize it for right now, because I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. So that's why I like to put this stuff on the left side, and you just drag it in here. I think this is the song, and you can see it clip like crazy. That ain't good. That's going to sound like Moose Dookie. This should be our talking part right here. I need to take the movie, which is recording right now, so that's kind of fun. And then I need to move that file into here as well, and then line up all this stuff. And so with that said, I've got a Zoom file and that going, and so that'll be a little tricky, but we'll figure it out. Bear with me. I can always go back and cut stuff out, but I want to be intelligent here. So this is where I may have to you may have to figure a couple things out for yourself. But what I'm going to have to do is what you always have to do with your audio and iMovie is you have to line it up with your audio, with your visual, I guess, your visual recording. And that's why I do all the clapping, so you can see peaks and spikes in your signal, so it makes it a little easier to drag and drop it and line it up with one another. All right, y'all. We've got Presonus doing our audio right now while we load up our Zoom card and audio from the video. I don't know how much of this I'm going to put on, but I guess it's kind of a little bit important too. I'm basically just recording how I would do this process. So hoping I can do it in less than 30 minutes. And then we'll do our audio from the Zoom. So basically, it always throws me off because it never... Yeah, so like this. Okay, so it's importing it here. And then I have to get this over to my Presonus to iMovie folder. It's going to take it another couple minutes to import. So let's see if that's in Presonus. It's not. All right, cool. So you see that we were able to drag it from wherever it loaded it to Presonus, to iMovie file. So I always do my video there. And then since I know that these are two different audio sources, one is Presonus and one is Zoom, so it's literally just going to go like over here somewhere. I don't want it to go there. It wants us to go there with it. Cool, whatever, that's fine. All right, so we got our Presonus here and our song here. Let's just make sure that's what that is. Yeah, that's what we got going on there. So cheesy. But what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? All right, so now we've got to minimize that. And now we've got to put our H4N in. So I've got both of these are both actually Presonus files. None of this is from the Zoom. So now I need to eject this disk, eject my SanDisk or whatever. And then we're going to put our Zoom one in. There should just be one file here, and it should be the most recent one. This Zoom is it's really easy to use. So like I said, my only complaint is the battery thing. I think the quality sounds pretty good for what I'm doing. The quality is excellent. I mean, it sounds great. You could record a song, and if you were any good, you could make it sound professional, I think. So we're just going to go all the way down to the bottom because, like I said, it should be the very last file on here. And I've deleted a bunch of files because they weren't being used. And normally, if I was using the Zoom, I would have two microphones input to the back side of it. So that it always exports an input file in what it calls M, and I guess that means microphone, because it has two stereo microphones on the front. That's what I'm using to do my audio right now with the Zoom. Or not this second. I'm not using the Zoom at all this second. I'm just using Presonus. But the M file, so M equals microphone, I equals input, two microphones. So we don't even need the I file. We just need this file right here, which is 76. That's the 76th file that's recorded to this. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to move it right there. I'm going to move it to the left side because I told you earlier it's a lot easier just to drag it into iMovie if it's on the left side. So we'll open up iMovie again, and then we're going to drag this to there, and we're going to go underneath our Presonus file because we're going to have to line those up with one another because you're going to have the same sounds. We're going to maximize this for just a second because it makes it easier to drag it down. So this is our newest file. There it is. All right. So we're going to zoom in here because this is where it gets a little tricky. And there again, it's not that tricky. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. The zoom is going to be easier to line up with this. And let me show you guys something here. And this is why it's important to clap. Zoom in, zoom in. I've got two peaks here. You see that right there? I don't know if you can, but there's two peaks here that are recorded onto the, what is it? The shotgun mic that's on my camera. Because you always want to have backup stuff in case something goes to crap. And so all you got to do here, and this is not a video on how to do all this crap. I'm going to put my cursor right here in the movie just so I can zoom in to make sure. The farther you zoom, the easier it is to line up your audio. You just got to make sure you're zoomed in on what you're trying to do. Right there. So I'm going to mute the Aston audio from Presonus for right now, and then we'll line these bad boys up. So we'll crank the volume on our shotgun mic just so we can hear it, because you usually can hardly hear it because it's not that great at that. So we're going to push play. And we'll listen for talking. And we're going to zoom out now. I guess I could use a button, couldn't I? But alright, y'all. I'm going to try to do a quick video on how to... So I would say that those are in check with one another. That sounds really close if it's not. I'm going to minimize this again just to make sure I got Presonus going still, because I've never recorded this much stuff with it. So we're still going good here. It's getting a good signal. I can see it on my interface that I got a good level. So that's a fun thing right there. We're minimizing, getting back in iMovie. All right. So now we're going to unmute. We're going to make this full screen again. We're going to unmute our Aston track. And now we're going to mute our Zoom track. So I haven't split anything right now, y'all. I'm just like doing whatever. And let's see here. What do I need to do? What do I need to do next? So I'm going to basically line up all this stuff, and then I'll have to upload more video. And when we get to that point, I'll show you how to send it to YouTube, I guess, which I don't know how we're going to do all that. All right, y'all. We are about to upload to YouTube. We're real close. If you've been with me this long, thank you very much. I appreciate you staying with me. I'll try to make this short and sweet. I've got Presonus doing audio here. We're going to minimize this. We're going to go to iMovie. And I'm going to get you up until it uploads to YouTube. Not too bad. So what we're going to do here is we're going to save our movie to our SD card, and I don't know if you can see that because I think the camera stops about right there. So I've got an SD card in my computer, and I am going to export this to that file. And so it says all that fun stuff. We're going to say next. and then where it says where, we're going to send it to this, and we're going to say save. It's going to take a while. I think it'll probably take 6 or 7 minutes. So we will fast forward that, and then while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get my YouTube up and running, because I'm going to have to upload these files later on to the movie. So like I said, we won't actually be able to upload it to YouTube right now, but we'll get to that push send to YouTube spot, and that's how you have to do it. And I recommend, like, if you are going to be doing the YouTube thing, TubeBuddy, T-U-B-E, Buddy, B-U-D-D-Y. It's a free software it's kind of like a search engine optimization of where you stack against other YouTubers, or just like your SEO optimization, search engine optimization. So you should do that if you can. Let's see where we're at. I've got YouTube up right now, so we're going to go to create and upload a video. Internet's real good down here in the dirty. So let's see where we're at. To maximize this, we're like 10% buffered, y'all, so it'll be a minute. I'm trying to debate on whether or not, I figure most of you guys and girls are smart enough to know from right here, you would select your files, and if this were downloaded, I'm probably going to cancel the download just so I don't have to delete it, because it's not ready to go. But after I finish this video, it will be ready to go, and I'll do this exact same process I've done through the whole thing, where I'll move those files to iMovie and whatnot. But so I would select the SD card as a device, an external device, and I would find my file within it that we just did. It would be this one that says 0 because it hasn't downloaded all the way, and you would push open. It would then load to YouTube, and then you would publish it, and then you would put in all your tags and all that fun stuff, and that can be a video for a whole other day. But for right now, that's how I would do it. So that's about it. Thank you.
Bye.